welcome to Kenyan Context, the podcast where we delve into the issues that shape our nation. Today, we are talking about an issue that is quite literally the ground beneath our feet. It's a source of life, identity, and conflict. It's the unhealed scar of Kenyan history, the land question. For decades, land ownership has been at the heart of our politics, our economy, and our most violent conflicts. But how did we get here? And is there a way forward? Strap in. We are going to cover a century of history in the next 10 minutes.
Let's start at the beginning. Before colonialism, land in Kenya was largely communal. Different communities had their territories, but the concept of individual absolute ownership with a title deed was foreign. Land was a shared resource, held in trust for future generations. Then came the British. Through a combination of force and legal fiction, they declared the most fertile lands, especially in the Rift Valley and Central Highlands, as crown land. They pushed communities like the Kikuyu, Maasai, and Kalenjin into overcrowded native reserves. The stolen land was then given to white settlers, creating the exclusive White Highlands. This wasn't just a policy, it was a massive displacement. It fractured communities and created a deep, burning resentment. This injustice was, without a doubt, the primary fuel for the Mau Mau uprising. The fight for independence was a fight for land.
So, when independence came in 1963, there was a palpable sense of hope. Uhuru meant the land would be returned to its rightful owners. The new government did initiate settlement schemes to buy land from departing settlers and redistribute it. But this is where the story takes a painful turn. The process was hijacked. The well-connected political class, the new African elite, manipulated these schemes. They acquired vast farms for themselves at the expense of the landless peasants. The very system of individual title ownership that the colonies used to dispossess people was now used by the new elite to accumulate wealth and power. Colonial injustice was replaced by neo-colonial betrayal. And in the Rift Valley, this created a toxic narrative of outsiders versus natives that politicians would learn to exploit for decades to come.
The consequences of this have been devastating. Indigenous communities like the Ndung'u and the Ogik were evicted from their ancestral forests. Millions of Kenyans became squatters on land they felt was theirs by right. And this festering wound has erupted repeatedly, most terribly during the post-election violence of 1991, 1997, and 2007-2008, where land was a central trigger. We've known about this problem for a long time. In fact, Kenya has a famous habit of forming commissions to study it, only to ignore their findings. The most famous of these is the Ndung'u Land Report of 2004. After extensive investigation, the commission found a staggering level of corruption. It detailed how public land set aside for schools, hospitals, forests, even road reserves, had been illegally allocated to politicians, their families, and fictitious companies. Its recommendations were clear: revoke all illegal titles, prosecute those responsible, and return the land to the people. And then, nothing. The report was shelved. Implementing it would have meant the political class turning on itself.
But a law is only as good as its implementation. We need the political will to finally act. This means a transparent national land audit to finally answer the question, who owns Kenya and how did they get it? Implementing the Ndung'u report and other recommendations, however uncomfortable it may be for the powerful. Speeding up the recognition of community land rights, protecting groups like pastoralists and forest communities. Full digitization of land records to combat the corruption that plagues our land registries. And if we don't address this, the cost of inaction is already being paid. we risk more cyclical election violence. We see environmental degradation as water towers like the Mau Forest are carved up. Land disputes clog our courts and scare away investors. Most importantly, we perpetuate a deep generational poverty and an erosion of faith in the very idea of a fair and just Kenya. Land is not just a commodity, it's the foundation of our social contract. Until we have the courage to heal this scar, the dream of a truly united Kenya will remain on shaky ground.
That's all for today's episode of Kenyan Context. What are your thoughts on the land question? Share them with us using hashtag Kenyan Context. Thank you for listening. The platform, beyond conversations on people and events, plunge into how these narratives mold justice, safeguard your rights, and reshape society, encouraging a quest for profound truths to drive enduring transformation.